So hey, let me tell you, welcome to Mike at Night this evening. We have so much to talk about. Charmaine, nice having you. Yeah. Let me tell you that many of us are in relationships and we have no idea what quality of relationship that we are in. I think one of the hardest things for us to really try and understand is this thing about relationships. How do we fit in with other people? How do we regulate our emotions when we're in a relationship? When there is no measuring tool to say that both of us are on the same page at the same time, at the same level of intensity in the relationship. So some people living a fantasy and they're going off on one end in enjoying a relationship that probably doesn't exist between both of them. Yeah. So that's what we're talking about. And that's why we're asking you to just invite somebody to join us. If you wish to call in, we want to tell you that you may call in at 868-688-5363. This is Mike at Night. And we are on like boiled corn. Hey, all right. Yes. Raquel, sending love, right? Love you. And by the way, people, this is my birth month, eh? So I'm celebrating it from the beginning of the month. I'm doing it as I like it. Yes. Is it, how do you pronounce it? Raquel or Rachel? Ramjaran. Yeah. All right. So, and that is the 20th of October. Is the birthday. I hope it's not a Thursday. I think it's a Friday. All right. So, if it was a Thursday, dog, eat all your supper. Yeah. You know I ain't coming on for my birthday. You know that. All right. So, tell me, are you in a relationship? How many of you are in a relationship out there? How many of you are? Talk to me, my people. Yeah. Are you in a relationship? And do you think it's a fantasy relationship? I know I wouldn't answer that question there. I'm not going to ask all the time, but I'm just asking you to just ask yourself the question while we wait on the others to join us. Is it a fantasy relationship? Yeah. So we're going to take it from this lady, a psychologist. I think she's more psychiatrist. Yeah. Leah Aguirre. And she wrote an article, a psychological article, that speaks to the issue of fantasy relationship. Musina said, yes, she's married. Hey, big up yourself, Musina. Yes. So she talks about signs that you are being stuck in a fantasy relationship. And we're going to talk about that. And then we're going to share what another gentleman who wrote an article talked about. How do you now deal with that situation? Joan Phillips Pierre, good evening, streaming from work, Alexandria, Virginia. Yep, well, okay, when you get home, tell Joe I said good night. Yep, Candice Alexander, welcome. Come right in, my people. Appreciate having all of you all on. All right, the sixth sign. I want you to look at your relationship. I want you to really think. I don't need you to go and harass the person that you're with, but really consider in your relationship. Are you in a fantasy relationship? So let's see what they have defined a fantasy relationship to be. Yes, this is what a fantasy relationship is. When you are lingering in the past and you make excuses for the present. They say it is an imaginary, unrealistic connection between two people. Imaginary and unrealistic connection between two people. It may involve an idealized version of someone. This is the kind of man that I would love to be in. Now, the man that you're thinking about and fantasizing about, you're not married to that one, you're not in a relationship with that, but you have this thing in your head. This is the kind of man I want. Not only do you have it in your head, the woman herself, may have these storybook relationships that she grew up on, the Mills and Boone in our days, and some of these love relationships that we're watching on TV and following all of these entertainers as to their kind of relationship and how money splurge and who gets how much money and who goes out for big breakfast and dinner and restaurants and hotels, and you have that in your head. Fantasy. It's not real. The man you have is a mechanic. He comes home smelling of smoke, diesel, and with his clothes black. That's the reality you have. Live with it. The man have this fantasy about the woman. Gorgeous, shapely, built like a bottle. Yes. But who you're married to is carrying baby fat from your children. Yes? So she does not have that kind of love. But you have this thing in your head that you want to be able to be with this kind of person. The kind of things you want to do in bed with this woman who is not an acrobat. And you want her to be that because that is what you read in some of those rude books. That is what you watch on some of those porn. And you think that your wife is going to turn upside down like a cup in a teacup. And she may not be willing to do that. All of listening to me tonight here, is all I'm talking to you, could we talk plain tonight? Hello? Yeah, could we? Carolyn, come in, man, Carolyn, come inside. Joan Phillips Spear, a stallion woman, you call that. Yeah, that is a stallion woman that's some of all you're looking for. All of us don't want to enjoy a nice romantic time in bed, You want to be able to ride like the Lone Ranger and Tonto. You want to be able to ride horse. No, you might not have that, but you have that in the head. You want her to do some things that are unrealistic. So this idealized version of the person. Some want a tall, dark, handsome man. A picture. But the man who might make you happy, he may not be tall, he may not be dark, and he may not be handsome. But he could make you a good man. All you with me? All you come in, man. Yeah, we have plenty to talk tonight. Plenty. We need to set some people straight with these dream relationships that they try to get into and wreck themselves and hurt the person that you get into. Because your expectations would have been off and off the chart. I'm telling you. Yes. Hey, Umadara, Guyana, nice to have you in the house. Yes, hello, Princess Precious Ellie, Lorraine, Prescott. Charmaine says she doesn't know what kind of relationship she's in. Well, Charmaine is there long enough that you should find that out. You hope I have on my headphones. Glenda, yes, one of our regulars. Yes. Annabella, yes, you're coming on time this time. Joan Bob Ward said only a fool breaks his own heart. That is one you should go with, Let's go with some nice songs and bring it out in anything. Joan, you should bring that one. So is this fantasy? We read so many books and we have this idealized one. You know what I found in my counseling session is that most people who end up being married and happy, when you ask them after many years, was this the ideal person that you're looking for? And they say, this color person, this height person, this size person was not what I was looking for. But they found happiness in the person. Yeah. John, that's what you did last night when your fool breaks his own heart? I was in a meeting late last night. Shelly Ann Saunders, schoolmate. Good evening. Yeah. So I want to bring some stuff that this person says. What's the lady's name? Leah Aguirre, Aguirre. I don't know why they have all these complex names. All right. So Our partner, we get into relationships, according to her, with the kind of people who we think of their potential, and we don't recognize who the person is. And this potential that we have is not a potential of the person, is a potential of your own figment of imagination. That I think this person can become. But you're not looking at the person who you're with and ask, can this person become? Does this person even want to become? That's where the question is. Yeah? Annabelle says, I think the older we get, why wisdom increase right now is happiness that matters. Now notice, the older we become, we get wisdom. And we having 12 and 13-year-old children making major decisions on their life. And we who made decisions later in life still turn around and regret. And we are telling a 12-year-old they could decide which gender that they want and who could divorce their parents and major decisions they're making. And yet they cannot get a driver's permit till they're 17. Yeah, but they could make major decisions at 12. Ain't that something? Anyway. Yes, Joy, come in. So we get in love with the potential, and we more in love with the idea of being in love than being in love with the person that we have before us. And that's why it is easy for us to switch people in. That's why it's easy for us to just change, because after a while we recognize that I'm not getting what I'm looking for. What were you looking for? Tell me what you were looking for in the first place. So Precious Ellie says, what if you got the tall, dark, and handsome, and the person was showing all the dreams you have come true, and then after a year or two, the real person jump out? Good question, Precious. Very good question. So let me answer that. Let us digress and answer that one day, Precious. I think it was, who was it? Earl Nightingale, may have been. Who said this? Yes, it is Earl Nightingale, come to think of it. No man can consistently act inconsistent to his thinking. Let me say that again. No man can consistently act inconsistent to his thinking. What does that mean? As long as a person have a certain lifestyle in their head, a certain thing in their head, they might be able to pretend for a while. That's how they are. But if you leave them long enough, they will never be able to consistently act opposite to the way how their thoughts are. Our problem is that we get into relationships too early, before the person show their true colors. Our parents used to sing a song, take time to know her. You know why they say that? Drink something for that. We need to recognize that a person cannot hide their act and character forever. At all. Nobody could do that. So I usually give part of that blame to the people who fall in love with the 15% of the person that they meet and wait, and then 85%, like the iceberg, begins to surface. Annabelle says it is wrong. Is it wrong to have a type? Yeah, you could have a type, but when we stick stoically to that type, to say that this is the only type of person that I want. I only want a Negro. I only want an Indian. I only want this type of person and that type of person. And you're not shifting. Well, you're asking yourself, are you not restricting yourself from other opportunities of people? I only want a tall person. I don't want no short person. I don't want no fat person. Well, those are things that can change overnight. You could get yourself a nice, slim, shapely woman that she's shaped like a bullet. She's standing on pillars like a house post. And she's standing strong and she's looking that way. One sickness. And she could be overweight in 2 weeks. Yeah? Those are too fickle things to settle for. What you have to settle for, my good people, is character. Character. Character doesn't change that easy. Yeah, that is why if the person has a bad character in their head, even if they try to pretend, it is always going to come out because it is going to go back to default. All right. Okay, let me talk. So much I think you all are talking about. It's scrolling up so fast, I don't even know. Yeah. Okay, I have to read fast now. Camille Jack, how are you? So now that's deception, and then that is where the problem starts, says Precious. Hernandez, Camille Hernandez, I honestly think most people's relationship is fantasy relationship. Most are hiding who they really are. And that is natural, Camille, because when you meet somebody, it is just social behavior to be at your best behavior. Nobody wants to meet somebody in their natural state when they just meet somebody and go out on a first date. You're not going to belch on your first date, Camille. But are you a person who belch? Of course you are. But you don't want to be, so we pretend. We hold the belch. Or we go somewhere and we belch. You see? So it is okay for a certain amount of pretense. It is called, we are holding the mask. It's called a mask. And that mask we wear in order to fit into social situations. In our homes, we are completely different. That's why you dress different from your home than you dress when you go out. Never mind, some people dress when they go out as though they're home. And when they're home, they have more clothes than when they're out. But that's the next story. We ain't on that tonight. So, yes, you're going to have that. People don't know who they really are. Plenty of people don't like who they portray themselves to be, I guess. All right. And plenty don't really know how to effectively love another because they haven't really taken the time to learn to love themselves. Okay, I got take that. Avril, come in nicely. Thanks. Nice having you. Life is a stage and we are the actors, says Charmaine. And everybody have a part to play. Take time to know her as a back in time song. All right. Yes, my people. Joanna Peters. St. Vincent, nice having you. Yes, you're late tonight, ma'am. You are very late. Good evening, Sharon. Come in. All right. Okay. So, number one, we're going back to the psychologist. Signs that you are stuck in a fantasy relationship. Now, if you want to call in, or you could call in, 868-688-5363. It's supposed to be written at the bottom somewhere down there on the screen. Somewhere on the down on the screen is supposed to see it. And you could get through by WhatsApp. Yeah, that's also the same number. If you want private counseling, you can afford to call that. From any part of the world, we can do counseling by Zoom, by Team, by WhatsApp. Okay? So, number one, you are stuck in a fantasy relationship. If you are constantly thinking about the future of the relationship and how it could be, versus enjoying your partner and relationship in the present. You see, we don't stay in the present. We are either in the future or in the past. And that has a way of bugging us in our lives. So when we stay in the present, we can appreciate the person who we have with their idiosyncrasies or whatever it is they call that big word. Yeah? So we can appreciate that person. And this psychologist is saying that we are thinking in the future and we are obsessed at how things could be better. So you are the person, yeah, whether it's your husband, your wife, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, and you're with the person, and you are just there frustrating yourself about how your relationship could be better if you just had this, if the person would just be like this, if the person would just treat you this way, if the person would just behave and talk to you in this way, if the person would just operate and do this and do that. But that's not what they're doing. So why are you messing up yourself about what you hope they do? This is what she's saying. So it's a fantasy, and that's frustrating. Yeah? So the version of the relationship you desire is not real. Because certainly the person you're with not there. No, you could wish it if you weren't in a relationship. You could wish it. But you is not in the relationship that you're wishing. But you're in one now. So take what you get. Be content to bloom in naked bower. Content yourself. Yes, Ted, yeah, if there was more like you, they would have been very happy. You understand me? Oh. Joy said there is always a red flag, but we look the other way. Yeah. Old people say, what you could have see in the day, you wait a night to look for it. The red flags have always been there. Shahan said, Mike, I think people get stuck because they choose to remain stuck. Well, everybody, it's a choice. But not everybody aware that they made that choice. You know, you could make a choice without knowing that you made a choice. Yeah. So I understand what you're saying, Shahan. Number two. So she says, we have this dream person in the future. But she also says this as the second reason, second sign that you are stuck in a fantasy relationship. When you focus on the past and how things used to be, when the relationship was new and when things were going nice. And so because you're looking at where you used to be, you daydream about the good times. He used to do this. We used to do the other. She used to do this for me. She used to treat me this way. And you live in that. And then you, about all the courtship days before we were married and so on, but now you're frustrated because you are married. So you're downright frustrated. And you're frustrating yourself because of an era in the relationship that is gone. So you have a lady, she was nice, she dressed up and all her go and all her line whole Friday night into Saturday and so on. But now you're married to the woman. She has a number of other issues. She has children to see about. She has a job. She has all of these things to do. You keep remembering when she was spontaneous and when all used to go on Lime and so on, and she used to come along. You didn't have to give her notice. No, you have to give her notice and so on. That's what you have now. That is life. The person is not going to be the same. And then you start to say, when I talk to she used to listen. Now she answering back because she's not the same little girl you married. She has matured and she has a voice. So you have to settle for that. This is what you have, my boy. You all hearing me? I hope all you hear me. I hope all you hearing me. Right. Camille say, hope that your partner will reach their potential rather than accept that this is who they are and they may not have the desire to go. Well, you also have to have the desire to go, my boy. But even if the person doesn't have the desire to go, this is what you have. You understand? If you're not married to the person, of course, you have many choices. You see, your choices reduce after you're married. So this is why know your substance. You understand? And ride in your lane. Anyway, so she said we have this dream thing, and you prefer what you had before, but you don't have that anymore. The man used to be energetic and so on, but now he's working 2 jobs to mind you and the children and the family and so on. He may not have as much spare time as possible. You can't have him home and have him working hard outside in the field at the same time. Oh, he don't spend time at home. Right, that may be true. Okay, where is he? He's outside working. So if he stays home and then now you are not getting bills paid, oh, he's home and he's not even going out there and work for money. Oh, let's see how it is hard in this thing. Red. Charmin said a lot of them red flag look like burgundy. Anyway, number 3. I told you we have plenty to talk about tonight, plenty things. And it's 8:30 already. And I want to cover at least 6 of them and then give you all some answers to what you could look for. Number 3, this psychology says that the sign that you are in a fantasy relationship is when you make excuses for your partner's problematic behaviors or toxic relationship situation. You're not coming to the reality that this person is messing up. You keep making excuses for it. Well, because you're hoping that the person comes down. Now, I'm not talking about going and making a quarrel off of every fault of somebody, whether it's a woman or the man. I'm not saying about that. But you have to come to reality that things are not the best. You can't overthink it and give the impression that things are the best when they are not. Nor can you overthink it and make things the worst when they are not that bad. It's balance. Balance you have to get. So, this relationship is not going good, and there are things in it that need correcting. But you ain't saying a word. And because you're not saying a word, the person thinks everything is going normal, everything going nice. But you piling up all of this, and when you're vexed, you unleash on the person every bad thing that they would do. Now, you think that's that fair? What you had before, not dreaming about you, it left you. Yeah, Rachel. Thank you, Rachel. Rachel said, amazing. Well said. Whatever it is, I don't know whether it's Musina you're talking about or you're talking about what I said, but thank you, Rachel. Right. So, you attribute problems in the relationship to a unique set of circumstances. Even when these problems continue to persist after the stress or the event. Well, he was just vexed. He was kind of stressed out. That is why he behaved so. That is why she carry on like that. But after all that event is over, the person still continue to behave in this hostile, braggadocious way. Yes? So I think that we need to be honest in the relationship, to call it as it is without being rude. Because you don't want to make plain talk to become arrogant. Some people mistake plain talk for arrogance. I could talk to you as I like, to insult you with what I'm saying because I'm a plain talker. No, that is arrogance, that is rudeness, that is bad manners. Not that we're talking about. We're talking about trusting the person. I said, the way you spoke to me this morning, I was unhappy with that. And the words you said hurt me. That is plain talk. You don't need volume for that. You don't need a screw up face where your face starts to look like prune. No, just say your thing. You don't need to be like that. Yeah. Sharon say, mess is mess, balance off things. Piling up causes heart attack. No, don't let them pile up at all. Number 4. For those who just joined us, we are giving the 6 signs that you are stuck in a fantasy relationship. Number 1 is that you keep looking at the future and hoping that the person becomes this person in your head, and the person is not there. Or you keep looking back at the way things used to be. That is no longer. That was part of the relationship. You should not have a relationship that is in the same from 5 years ago. One would think the relationship is progressing, so there must be some changes that will take place. Yes? So the things that were fun then can be things that are fun now. When your child was a little baby and blowing bubbles with their mouth, with their spittle, that was cute. But you don't want that child to be your husband at this age and blowing bubbles with his mouth with spittle. That ain't cute. So things change in people's lives as they go along. Talk to me, people. Yeah? Plain talk bad manners. Yeah, I now say that and I watch shower and just post that. Plain talk bad manners in a polite manner. No need for volume. Yeah. Charmin says some can't talk back because they will be forever walking in the cupboard door. Oh, no, if no, wow. And that is such a tragedy, but a reality. When because somebody says how they truly feel and another person doesn't agree with it, they have to suffer for having a different opinion. So, Charmaine, thanks for raising that. I mean, it doesn't sound good, but we have to admit that that happens, unfortunately, where you have to give an excuse, say you walk into a door. Do I say keep going on dates together? Take that time out sometime to unwind. Unsign, I think that is unwind, you're probably trying to say. Heather said presentation is key. It's not what you say, but how you say it. Agree. I gotta take that. I gotta take that. Number four. You tend to over-explain the problems. This is to tell that you are stuck in a fantasy relationship. You over-explain the problem or challenges that occur within the relationship with your friends and family. You're trying to give them and convince them your relationship going good. They're trying to point out to you, Joel, you're not happy in that. Oh boy, that situation you tell me there, I realize they're not getting along, and you're trying to explain and explain and explain. You ever meet some people that they're trying to justify a relationship that is bad, so much so that even when abuse is taking place, it might be physical abuse in the case of the woman, might be verbal abuse in the case of the man. She's verbally abusing him, he might be physically abusing her. But whatever the abuse is, you try to explain away. Well, you know, because of so and so, because of the way I talk to him, that is why he do so and so. Well, you know, that is how woman is. And you explain away. No, man. Yeah, you don't do that at all. You become defensive when others express their concerns about the health of your relationship. Now, got it that people must mind their business. I agree with you. But you know, all of us have friends or inner circle. The inner circle people, to me, and my inner circle people have authority to make pronouncement on my life and to inquire into my thing. That's why they're called inner circle. And so when somebody who is a close friend of yours try to help you along the way or warn you, encourage you, point out things to you, we should appreciate it. Not try to ostracize them and make them feel guilty for what they're doing or saying. Sometimes I don't think that I've listened to so many young ladies talk about them being interfered with by somebody in the home. And I've heard of where mothers in many cases would tell the child, you're trying to mash up my marriage or my relationship with your stepfather and so on. And don't take this, make excuses for truth that might be coming up. And we do that also in relationship, that we make excuses for somebody's inappropriate behavior. But don't talk about in church. So if you have a man who's looked up to in the church, who's having an abusive relationship with his family, you could have even members defend that person because he's a good preacher, good song leader, he's a good this, he's a good that. Politicians also, you find all of that. We make excuses for people. So there it is. We have to be careful. You see, we have to be careful. Number 5. We are perpetually unhappy, but try to reason it away. You must know when you're unhappy in a relationship. Sometimes you ask somebody, are you happy? Are you happy in the relationship? Well, it's all right. No, you're not happy. You could never, you is not happy. Take that from me. You is not happy if you just say, no. It's either you're happy or you're not. And that says that you can't really be in a very good relationship if you really don't. Some people don't even know if they're in a relationship. You are in a relationship, well, it's complicated. What? So when you're perpetually unhappy, but try to reason your unhappiness, then you are stuck in a fantasy relationship because you're hoping that you're not happy. You are hoping that you are happy when you are unhappy. Right? And instead you ignore that gut feeling you have that is telling you that something just not right. Something about this relationship not rocking. It's not rocking me. I don't have me groove in this relationship. Then you need to start doing something about it. You need to start talking about it. You need to start doing something to solve it. Yeah, Sharon, is either you're happy or you're not happy. So I don't understand all of this complicated, and I meet so many people in complicated things. Well, you have a boyfriend? Well, yes or no. How come? How? In the name of heavens, you are asked if you have a boyfriend, and it is yes and no at the same time. Yeah? And many times, you're still having sex with this person that you don't even know if he's a boyfriend or girlfriend. So what? Yeah? Anyway. Hey, Joan Benjamin, where you now come from? Hey, Joan, you're coming in late, or you must not come in on Nite at night late. I will lock you all out in the quadrangle. You all will stay on the outside of the classroom, and when recess bell ring, we'll let you in. Need to come on time. All right. So we continue. Number 6. You are stuck in a fantasy relationship. If you feel like you are working harder, well, listen to me because I'm talking to some of all out there right now. If you feel you are working harder than your partner in the relationship, it's as though you holding the relationship together. They are doing nothing to help you run this relationship and keep the relationship. You is doing everything for the relationship. You doing things for their birthdays. You doing things to make them happy. They're not doing anything for you. You are the one that making all the decisions and the arrangement. You are doing all the things as though you do not have somebody in your life because you have to cook, bottle washer, is how they call it. I forget how my parents used to call it. It's something cook and bottle washer. Yeah? You're doing everything. And I talk about both man and woman, because sometimes the man is the one who's dragging and carrying the relationship, and the woman is just there. And sometimes the woman who's carrying the relationship and the man is just dead. No, you're stuck in a fantasy relationship. If you're doing that and you are making no changes about that, your partner remains the same. When your partner does change their behavior, this change is fleeting because the person only changes for now because you're quarreling. And because you're quarreling, you see a little change. Ah, yes, Charmaine, that is right. Chief, cook, and bottle washer. I'm forgetting all of them old time saying that. Chief, cook, and bottle washer. That's what you end up with. Thank you, Joan. Joan must have that. Yeah. So, when you reach in that, then you are stuck in a fantasy relationship. Nobody should feel as though they're carrying a relationship on their shoulders at all. It is supposed to be something mutual, that it is an easy way and you're enjoying the load you're carrying. It will carry a load because you will have weight, but you're both carrying it. And when you are weak, the person is taking more load of the relationship to take it through. And when they are weak, you take more load, and at some point, both of us are strong, and you carry the load. That's how it's supposed to run. If anytime you feel as though you're dragging this thing for years, dragging it for months, you are the one holding it, then revisit yourself. Check yourself. Hey, my boy Lawrence. Lawrence, boy, you're up late, man. Lack of respect from both man and woman, husband and wife brings the relationship into disrepute like a bridge over troubled waters. If Facebook didn't used to cut me off, I would have played some of them songs for all that all the time. But Joe, Bob Ward raised one, now Lawrence raised the next one, a bridge over troubled waters. Them is songs that had lyrics in them days here, not like the jaga baga gaga gaga thing that we have today. Anyway, let me continue. Sharon says she ain't carrying no load. Sharon is a test, you know. It can be a number of things like pride and shame, not wanting anyone to know that your relationship is not as wonderful as your. Yes, Cheddar, I think that. And I wonder about people who need to post their relationships almost every 2 seconds on Facebook. I wonder whether they are not compensating for an unhappiness in the relationship, why they need to post it so often. There's something called anchoring bias, where you repeat something often enough so that people will believe it. But it's not true. And sometimes I often wonder whether we are not anchoring a bias in people's mind by talking in such glorious terms about a relationship that you really don't need to be talking so often about. Yeah, post every so often, your husband, your wife, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, and so on. But some of all it is just overbearing, retired, see. Yeah, telling all you. I live by me, I could say. Yeah. Sharon says she ain't dragging nothing. All right. Many rivers to cross, boy. Hey, if you was on YouTube, I would have given it. I would have given it some nice songs. Pressure say that's a sickness. Yes, it is. When one person alone carries the load, eventually you get tired, then what happens? Somebody gives up. And when that person gives up is when the person who was not carrying the load all the time want to make changes. By then you fed up. And when they make the change and you change your mind and stay in the relationship, they're going back to the way how they were. Some if of these rivers have plenty debris. All right. Anyway, what time is it? We only have about 15 minutes, and I want to go to this other guy who tells us what are some of the solutions. 10 ways to deal with your fantasy relationship. I may not be able to get through the 10, but we'll deal with how many we can. Right. Holiday. Lyndon, where the fellas just come from solely. Pressure say, I nailed it, man. All right, so how do you deal with these fantasy relationships? Number one, recognize that you are in a fantasy relationship. You can't live in denial. If you are unhappy, you are unhappy. There are things you cannot tell to some people because their mouth will run. I can understand that. There are things you might not be able to go and tell your parents because your parents did warn you. So you might not want to go back there. There are things that you cannot tell your co-workers because your co-workers themselves may be glad for the news. There are some things you can't tell some people because they're glad that now you're unhappy because they could now move in. So much reason why you can't tell somebody. But you must find somebody to talk to. That comes back to our inner circle story. You need about 2 or 3 people close to you who you can tell the things that you're going through. You're all hearing me? Please listen to me. You need about 2 or 3 very close people to you that you can tell your story as it is, good or bad, even if you are the one doing the bad. But you can tell the story to the person, and the person does not judge you. They are there for you to help you and assist you. Because all of us does do bad. We need somebody to stretch out to and say, help me, I have messed up, or help me, I end up in a situation that is uncomfortable. The reason why so many people are committing suicide is because they have nowhere to turn. Nobody they can depend upon. You need to make sure you have that. And that's where counseling comes in. People like myself who listen to people's stories. We are paid to listen to people's stories. There are some people paid just to come in. They don't want advice. They just want to offload the things they are going through, tell it to somebody to get it off their chest. We listen graciously. Some people want to get direction, and also this is where a counselor comes in. Get help. Recognize that you are not in a perfect relationship or in a perfect circumstance. You are not happy, but you are not the only one in that situation. Yeah? So, you could tell it to God. Yes. But then here's what God is going to do. God is going to bring somebody into your life that you can tell it to and get the help that you need. Yes? All right. That may be true, Sharon says, but those people should be extremely confidential. You're absolutely right about that. Get help. Yes, and that is why you have to select your inner circle carefully, the people who are going to be there, because two things you don't want is somebody to be able to tell your story to somebody else. And two, you don't want the person to judge you, because all of us mess up. You are not the only one who mess up. So you need to be able to tell someone who appreciates the fact that you mess up. I'll tell you one of the things that I really appreciate. There was one time that I went to speak in an event with men, and this preacher, pastor, shared in that event, crying, that as a pastor, he has been visiting prostitutes and paying prostitutes to give him favors. This is a married pastor with children. I was very appreciative when the men from the audience got up, surrounded him, and hugged him, prayed for him, reached out to him, because we all mess up. Just because you don't falter or sin in that way doesn't mean that you do not sin. The issue is whether the person is penitent, whether the person is remorseful, of a contrite spirit, is what the Bible calls it. He gives grace to those with a contrite spirit and a humble heart. It is those who are arrogant and boastful and will not turn from the wrong things that they're doing. That's a different matter. You understand? But when somebody reaches out to us, we should reach out to them. All right. So, what the psychologist is saying, just be honest to yourself. I ain't happy. The relationship I have, the state it is in, is not what I dream of, and it is not what I had before with either this person or with somebody else that I was with. So, so he says that is it. Once you acknowledge that problem, you can now take steps to address it. Number two, be honest with yourself and be honest with your partner. Now, that's a hard one. You might be honest with yourself. You might be fearful about being honest with how your partner takes it. And I could understand. And because of that, you will tend to withdraw from facing your partner. But I think we owe it. I think we owe it to the people that we are with, that we claim to love and who claim to love us, to be honest with them. But honest and empathetic with when we are dealing with it. You understand? Say it as it is. Right? Thank you, Hannah. Let us say for 2 or 3 people, find 2 or 3 people or book an appointment with Michael Stewart. Either way, you need help. Thank you, Heather, for the vote of confidence. Shall I say, we all are humans. Remember, there are lots of false prophets out there. Thank God for the honest ones who come forward. Of course, because that pastor didn't have to say anything. He could have just keep his mouth shut. You understand? And save himself all that embarrassment. But he was weighted enough and wanted, nobody brought that out. He brought it out himself. You understand? With tears. I respect that. I respect that highly. We all need each other with people that's trustworthy. Of course, honesty is not hard. Honesty is honesty. All right. All right, so I only do with 2 and I realize we're down to 9 o'clock already. So let's see if we could continue now. So be honest with yourself and be honest with your partner. It's important to communicate with your partner somehow or the other. And don't make it as though you're blaming the person. I am not happy. It's not you don't make me happy. I am not happy. And I want happiness. But I would like you to help me. I'm searching for it, but I'm not sure as to why. But I want a better relationship with both of us. I think we should spend some more time together. I think we should get to know each other some more. I think we should go back to some of the things we used to do. Just talk it out, talk it out, talk it out. But don't point fingers and say, you don't take me on, and you don't take me nowhere, and you don't treat me as how you used to. No, that is blaming. That is always going to get you into trouble. There's nobody going to say, oh, I want to come back and I want to treat you nice. I'm glad you insult me like that and you blame me like that. Nobody's going to say that. Forget about that. You need to just take ownership of your own feelings, right? And ask the person to help you through these feelings. That's a better option. All right. I might have to leave off some of your comments now because we're trying to, I want to read them though. I might have to read them after we close off, right? So number 3, set realistic expectations. You need to adjust your expectations and accepting your partner for who your partner is, and as opposed to what you want the partner to be. This is your deck of cards that you've been dealt. You have to play your hand. You can't wish that there was a better pack that they'd shuffle. This is the deck of cards. And this is the list of cards that you got out of that deck. That's life. Play your hand. The hand you have. Sometimes you could get a bad hand, but the way you played, you could still win. You understand? You didn't get the best husband or the best boyfriend. You didn't get the best wife or the best girlfriend. You didn't get the most good looking and so on. But hey, you could be able to do a wonderful win with the person you have. Understand that and appreciate that too. Be contented with such things as you have. Godliness with contentment is great gain. That's what the Bible says. Yeah. Mike, some years ago, an older sister in the church, and I had a convo before I reached. All right, so I didn't get the whole story there. It went out. All right. Number 4, focus on the present. 2 places would stress you out. If your mind is in the past, why you'll get stressed? Because it's gone and you can't do nothing about it. So get accustomed to that. You can do nothing about it. That's 1. 2, if your mind is in the future, it will also stress you because the future ain't even there yet and you don't hold the future. The only thing you can deal with is what you do now. And what you do now soon becomes the past. And what you do now is going to be from what was in the future that became your now. So just operate in your now. Operate in your now. Be focused on the present. This would help you to connect with your partner. This is who he is.